Um, we gotta talk about Conte and the press conference that he had. Okay, first and foremost, guys, let me know in the comment section below if you can hear me well. I'm using a different mic. Obviously, I'm not in my studio. It's Easter. I'm back in Naples. I had a great day today, man. The weather was incredible. I was in Pozzuoli, where you have super nice view, having an aperitivo. Went to watch the game. And I thought it was gonna be an easy game, guys, against Monza, but it wasn't at all easy. It was incredibly difficult for Napoli to even make chances against this Monza side, who are the worst team in the league. And we have to be very thankful that we got these 3 points. But the main talking point, guys, is the fact that Conte, before the game and after the game, said some things that are, let's say, maybe not shocking, but they are definitely causing a lot of commotion in the Napoli environment, right? So let's just go chronologically what happened. So, yesterday in the pre match conference, guys, Conte said that he doesn't, that, so I want to get the words right, no, because I think it's important to be very, very clear when I'm quoting Conte. He said that when he came to Napoli 8 months ago, he said some things that now he is not in a position to confirm some of those things that he said, because not because he's a liar, not because he, you know, it's because he now has direct experience of being in the club, and some things are just not what he thought. Okay? So that's the situation. That's what he said. And an example of this was the whole situation around Kvara, where he said, guys, I don't want Napoli to be a stepping stone club. But he said clearly some things are just not possible, okay, and Napoli. So that's what Conte said, and everybody was like, okay, Conte's leaving, blah 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 blah. No, because he's clearly not happy and all that. Today, we win the game, and right after the game, they asked him a very simple question that had nothing to do with what he said yesterday. It had nothing to do with De Laurentiis, the Mercato, and all that. They asked him something specifically about today's game. And Conte, instead of just sticking to that, went again and spoke about this whole thing about, I don't know, about next year. Um, you know, and so he's the one that is, first of all, bringing these things to light. So I just want to make that clear. It's not the journalists that are asking him. Then obviously they have follow-up questions, obviously, but it's him that wants to bring this up. So what he said today was, and he said some stuff at that zone, and then a press conference, he said that he needs to protect himself for next year. He said, look, I came to Naples, we were 10th, the objective was 4th, but we did above and beyond what was the objective, and people demand that we win. And I'm very good here in Naples. The weather's great, the food's great, the people are great, but people want to win. And I feel a responsibility to provide that to people. And if I don't have the resources to do that, then I need to protect myself and I can't stay. Because he's saying, look, I can make a miracle once, i.e., this year, but can I make it again and again and again without proper planning, without a proper structure in place? So that's what Conte was saying. And I agree. I agree with Conte that you need a plan, you need a structure, you need to have players because we cannot present ourselves to the Champions League next year with Juan Jesus and Rafa Marin, who had an okay game today, but we were playing against the worst team in the league and he got a yellow card. So he's still immature. He's not a bad player, but maybe he's immature. Maybe there's still a lot of things that he needs to learn. There was some moments in the game where maybe he didn't read the situation very well. Other times he did very good. But these are not maybe the players that are going to guarantee a strong title fight, especially if you have to play Champions League football midweek, right? We just don't have enough quality players to do that. And I agree with Conte. But what I don't understand is why do you have to bring it up now? Why do you have to air the dirty laundry in front of everybody? We have 5 games to go. Let's just focus on these 5 games. Let's try to build a nice atmosphere. Let's put pressure on Inter. Let's not give the newspapers anything to attack us with. Let's make this a bunker. Let's make this a really strong environment where people are, behind the team, behind you. There's this unison. Like, let's make that. Let's get as far as we can. If we win the Scudetto, fantastic. If we don't win it, still, thank you very much, Conte, for a great year. And then we talk about it on the 1st of June. 1st of June, you then make a press conference and you say, guys, I need A, B, C, D. De Laurentiis, can you give me A, B, C, D? No, you can't? Okay, thank you very much. I'm out. No? But do that on the 1st of June. Don't do that on, what is it today? The 19th of April, when you have 5 more games to go. That's what I don't understand. And I don't think if Conte wants to send De Laurentiis a message, I don't think he needs to make something public like this. I think he is a strong enough coach, character, and personality to take conversations to De Laurentiis on a one-to-one basis without trying to get the whole environment involved. It's not like he needs the fans on his side. He can just say De Laurentiis straight how things are. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at the timing of it. Not at what he's saying, but at the timing. Maybe to some extent, I'm also a little bit surprised with what he's saying because De Laurentiis bought a lot of players for him this summer. We were the team that maybe spent the most in Serie A this summer on players. We got him our best midfielder since Marek Hamsik. The numbers don't lie. 9 goals already this season. We got him the striker that he wanted. We got him the best young defender in Italy that existed with Buongiorno. Obviously, in one summer, you're not going to resolve an entire team. But, I mean, it would be ridiculous to go and buy 11 players in one summer. I think De Laurentiis did what he had to do in the summer. Then in the winter, yeah, we screwed up. But at the same time, 70 million for Garnacho. I mean, Conte really wanted Garnacho, fine. But look, I think with hindsight, I think it was the right thing not to spend that amount of money. Because if you look at the last 4 months of Garnacho, he's not exactly a 70 million euro player, no? And someone can put in the comment section, yeah, but why do you care? It's not your money. I know, but I mean, I'm putting myself in De Laurentiis' shoes. If it was my money, I'd be pretty upset right now if I had spent 70 million for Garnacho. So he should have been replaced better. And LC in the comments is saying that, that Cavara had to be replaced. And I agree, it wasn't done very well. But at the same time, look, if Man United are saying 70 million for Garnacho, then guys, like, I mean, you cannot go ahead with that. Adeyemi, we had the agreement with Borussia Dortmund. It's not like Napoli didn't want to replace him, but then Adeyemi didn't want to come. So you start going down the list, and obviously the quality goes down, 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 down. But it's very difficult in the winter to get players. So I'm not convinced it was all of Napoli's fault. To some extent, Kvara leaving is also Conte's fault, because Conte said at the summer that Kvara is staying, and if Kvara doesn't want to stay, it doesn't matter. I'll put him next to me, and I'll find some tasks for him to do around the training field, and I will take care of Kvara. He said it himself. He said, "I'll take care of Kvara." That's what he said. And in his mind, he had the thought of, I can convince this kid to stay. I can convince him about the game plan, about what we want to do, about the fact that we are going to be a competitive team. And to some extent, he failed that. And that was a little bit his fault as well. Obviously, Clara was motivated by money, fine. And Conte, as much as he presents a good project, cannot convince him to say no to 10 million a year. But maybe he can convince him at least to wait another 4 or 5 months and then accept that offer, because PSG would have come back for Kvara this summer anyways. It wasn't like there was Kvara or someone else for PSG. PSG was just Kvara. They wouldn't have gone and bought someone else, because that's the level of player that they wanted, and there's no one better than Kvara in that position. I think that was available at that time. So it would have been Kvara or nothing. And they would have come back in the summer. And Conte, to some extent, failed to convince Kvara to stay. And maybe part of that was also with the way that we were playing. The fact that he wasn't getting the best out of Kvara. He didn't extract the best. So, Conte is putting a lot of blame on De Laurentiis and Napoli and all that, but I think that he had a part to play in what was, a really bad moment of our season. So he can blame De Laurentiis and Napoli all he wants, but I think he had a part to play. To some extent, Napoli couldn't do anything else this season, maybe with Kvara, I mean, for sure, they messed up, but I think they messed up in the Scudetto winning season or right after when they didn't renew him. I think now it would have been too late. I mean, Kvara had already made up his mind that he didn't want to stay. The only thing or renew a contract, the only thing that Napoli could have done is try to convince him for him to stay until the end of the season. But that was, again, I think something more on the manager to do, to find the motivation for the player to stay, than from a club side, because the club, the only thing that they can do is give you more money. But Kvara wasn't going to sign a new contract, So yeah. Juve Cornercast says, "Ciao bro, I'm a Juve content creator. Do you think Conte will leave Napoli this summer because of the tension between the management and the manager?" The thing is that Conte, he said, "I have no problem with De Laurentiis." Like, there hasn't been a breakup with the management. That's the thing. Had there been a a clash between them, I would have said, yeah, he's leaving. The thing is that Conte is fine in Naples. He likes life there. He likes his team, in the sense that, the few players that he has, he actually likes them. And he's got no problem working with De Laurentiis. What he just wants from De Laurentiis is a guarantee that he will spend X amount of money. And we don't know how much that is. 150, 200, 250 million, I don't know. No? If Conte can get that guarantee that we will spend that kind of money, then yes, then he will stay. If De Laurentiis says, "Look, Conte, I'm not gonna spend 200 million," then Conte probably, will not be able, not want to stay. He will not feel protected, because guess what? People will want the Scudetto, and he doesn't feel like he has the resources. And I mean, this Juventus fan should know that Conte, he doesn't want to go to the restaurant with 10 euros if the price is 100. That's the famous quote that he had when he left Juventus. He says, I can't go and eat at a 100 euro restaurant with a 10 euro bill. Saying that, if Juventus wants to win the Champions League, I need the budget to play the Champions League. So that's the main thing. It's, will De Laurentiis give him the money? That's the only thing that Conte wants, and he's putting this incredible amount of pressure. And yeah, I don't know. I think De Laurentiis will, like, I don't see any other way. I don't see what else Napoli can do, because look, if we lose Conte for next season, we have to start again an entire new project with an entire new coach. And that coach will still want to buy his own players. So I don't think if you get another coach, you're actually saving that much more money. I still think that, you know, both options are expensive for Napoli, whether we stay with Conte or not. But yeah, Conte is just doing this incredible media circus about it, which I don't think is necessary. I think this is just something that you discuss internally with the club, and you sort it out on the 1st of June. And if you have anything to say publicly, you do it after the season ends. And if they ask you questions specifically about, are you staying next year, you just respond very professionally, like, guys, I have a 3-year contract. I like to stay here, but let's see next year if the conditions are right. Full stop. Without getting into details like he's done, being cryptic, being critical, like, I don't know. I don't know. So let's get to some of the comments, guys. Let's get to some of the comments. What do you guys think? Seb PZ says, hopefully it's just his way of getting what he wants. Tomato says, Conte needs players. That's it. And a squad with a winning mentality. Yeah, but to some extent, he should be providing that winning mentality. Omari Lewis says, the game has stressed me for sure. I'm glad that our chance came and McTominator scored. Paul says, maybe Conte is taking the pressure off the players by making it about him. It's possible. I thought that as well, but I thought that until yesterday, right? So before the game, when he said this, I said, okay, and someone texted me and said, what do you think about Conte? Is he going to leave? I said, no way. No way he's going to leave. I think this is just a matter of trying to divert the pressure away from the team. But now you've won the game. Now there's no need to double down, right? I mean, maybe it makes sense in the day or two before the game, but now to double down even more? I don't know. I don't know. And look, it's screwing up a little bit as well Napoli's transfer market to some extent. Conte wants players, but if Conte wants players and he wants them quick, Napoli's already got to be working in the background now to get those players and get them to agree to the project so that on the 1st of June they can make a formal offer to the club, right? But if you're one of those players and you hear Conte saying, oh, I don't know if I'm staying, blah, 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 you're not committing to that. It's not easy for you as a player to commit to that. When Manna calls you for you to be like, yeah, I'm coming. You're thinking, oh, this is the environment? Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm going to also hear that call from this other club and see what they have to say, right? So it's really not helping Conte himself. Even if he does stay, for all of this to have happened. And to what extent, Yeah. To what extent will De Laurentiis accept Conte continuing to say this every single week? Today he spoke actually, and he didn't speak much about the whole situation or about Napoli in general. He had a more like generic interview, but the only thing that he said about this season, or very few things he said, was one of the very few things that he said was, "Look, we'll just make take our sums at the end of the season. Like we will count the chicken at the end of the season. You know, let's not talk about it now," which is a very mature thing for De Laurentiis to say. By the way, you know, to say, "Look, let's just wait until the end of the season to speak about things." Um, but is he going to still say that in a week or two if Conte every time keeps escalating this? Or will he feel the need to intervene? And then that could be problematic. So this is something to look into. Something to look into. Guys, a lot of comments on this stuff. Elsie says, I hope Conte stays. Not even 200 million, but even 150 is doable with Kvara and Osimhen sales. Guys, I think we shouldn't consider both Kvara and Osimhen sales in our budget because the thing that we did this summer with Buongiorno, McTominay, Neres, all these guys, I mean, this money had to come from somewhere. And I think that De Laurentiis, let's say, anticipated the sale of Osimhen. You know, the 70 million that he thought he was going to get for Osimhen, he put it up front. We haven't materialized that sale, but he knows in the back of his mind that that money is coming eventually. But I think that that 70 million of Osimhen has already been calculated, has already been accounted for. So I think we've got instead 70 million from Kvara plus Champions League money, and maybe some money from the Scudetto season, which I still think we haven't spent. Um, so yeah, maybe that's around 150, right? That seems right in terms of budget. But you know, will De Laurentiis spend it all in one season? That's the thing. You know, will he keep some as a buffer for maybe the winter or for the next season, right? Because what do you do if you're De Laurentiis? Do you go all in with saying yes, 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 yes to Conte? You build a squad around him, a 300 million squad between 2 years, and then maybe he picks up his bags and leaves? Or do you keep a little bit stashed to the side just in case this happens so that you have something for the next manager? And it's a risk that he has to calculate because you put too much money to the side and you don't make Conte happy enough. You put too much money for Conte and you don't have any backup in case plans fail. It's not an easy position to be in for De Laurentiis, I don't think, because I wouldn't be so confident if I was him in putting all my eggs in Conte's basket because Conte's the type of manager that just picks up and leaves one day. And he literally did that with Juventus in the middle of their retreat. He just said, you know what, guys, I'm out. Peace. See you. That's what he said. The retreat had already started and he just left. So yeah, it's a difficult situation, guys. Very, very difficult. Old Rossonero in the house says Avanti Napoli. Yeah, let's go, man. Kuma El Raza says, man, why do they don't play Luis Haza? Man, this guy wasn't playing for Lecce. I mean, why would he play for us? Conte doesn't even play like more established players. Like that's the thing with Conte is that you give him players and he just doesn't care. Like he wants like very specific profiles, mature players, ready players. Like Rafa Marin today had a decent game, but it was his first start. You know, like Conte, if it was up to him, he would have never played Rafa Marin. And yet we saw today that actually he can do something. You know, this guy actually exists. He has two legs. He can kick a football. Is he the finished product? No. Is he the greatest defender ever? No. But is he good enough to play one game in Serie A? Yeah. one game, he's done it, you know, and he would have never even had that chance had we not had the injuries of Buongiorno and Juan Jesus. And I understand that Conte wants to always field the best team, but he also has to think about the future and building players. And if, I mean, you have to take some risks at time. And I think, you know, some of those games that Juan Jesus started in the past, and we played very well with Juan Jesus. Maybe Rafa Marin could have also started one of those games, and maybe we would have had the same result. And by now, you would have then come to the end of the season with a more mature and ready player. Instead, we're having to take a lot of risks now. So yeah, it's just the way Conte is, you know. So yeah, Foxtrot says we need Buongiorno to come back. I want to know what you guys think of actually Rafa Marin. I think it's a big talking point of today's game. Honestly, I thought he had a better game than Rahmani. I don't know about you guys, but it's super weird. So I was on SofaScore earlier to see what were the match ratings that SofaScore gave, and they gave Rahmani a better score than McTominay. Okay, he had an 8.3 out of 10, but I swear if you watch the game of Rahmani, you would have thought that they screwed his head backwards today. Like every header, guys, every header of Rahmani was a disaster. Like, I guess SofaScore is counting them as interceptions. But I promise you, when he intercepted those crosses or those passes, he was trying to pass it to some of his teammates, and every time it was going the wrong place. And this guy was aiming, like the ball's coming, he's aiming, he's like, I want to pass it to you. He aimed it, and the ball goes the other way. Like, dude, come on. Or that one time that it just went straight up. Like, man, come on, bro. Like, Rahmani today, I didn't like him at all. So to some extent, I preferred Rafa Marin today than Rahmani, even though he's very very raw still. You know, makes too many fouls, but he calmed down in the second half, especially. You know, I think in the first half he was a bit. You know, his nerves were maybe a little bit in the way, but yeah. A pacey striker is what we need, says Tomato Tomato. I agree, man. I agree. I would love to see Goikers from Sporting Lisbon here. I just don't think Conte would replace Lukaku. Like, I think if you give Conte all the strikers in the world to choose from, he would still pick Lukaku, man. Like, I just think that Conte is obsessed with the guy. So maybe it's not the best use of our money to buy such a good striker, because he will just rot on the bench, you know. Darwin Nunes would be great at Napoli. I think he could explode. Darwin Nunes is an interesting one. Very inconsistent player. Very, very inconsistent. I think he's got a great sense of positioning, Darwin Nunes. But my God, does he miss some chances? Um, I don't think he stinks. I don't think he stinks, but I wouldn't trust him if my life depended on it. Let's just say this, man. Like, if my life depended on it, and you told me that it depends on Nunez to score a goal, I'd say I'm cooked. I am absolutely cooked. That's what I would say. Then maybe he scores, right? But I, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that, man. But I think he does have that potential, right? Like, if he just fixes that consistency that he lacks, because some games he's capable of scoring 3 goals, right? So, you know, he does have those kind of games in him. So yeah, guys, that was a little bit my view on Conte. my view on Rafa Marin. Let's talk a little bit about the game in general. So, guys, first half was tricky, no? And we played that classic 4-3-3 with Spinazzola, and maybe Spinazzola was a little bit too deep in the first half, but we just really struggled to create chances, no? And Gilmore got taken off in the first half, and not because he was playing badly, but it's just that the double pivot wasn't working. Because basically what Conte did later was put Anguissa, and Anguissa, what he likes to do is he likes to go a bit more down the wing and link up with the left back or right back or right wing or left wing, whatever it depends on which wing he is. Sometimes he's on the right, sometimes he's on the left, but he likes to go wide, and then you at least get three players, and between those three players that are there, you can create some chances, and that's exactly how Napoli scored. You know, if you guys go and look back at the goal, you have Spinazzola, Raspadori, and Anguissa. You know, and are uh, these guys are, you know, the ones that sort of created the goal. So that worked out. It's not because Gilmore played bad. It's just that Anguissa takes different positions, and that's what Conte wanted. That's the position that Conte wanted for him to take. And Raspadori came on super well. You know, he had that assist to Politano. Then he obviously had that assist that actually came into to making the goal. So he had a really positive impact, but in the end we were quite lucky, no? I feel like the goalkeeper of Monza did a really big mistake, guys. Like, guys, if Meret did that, if Meret came flying so far away from his goal and missed the ball, like the Monza goalkeeper did, guys, we would be, you know, destroying him by now. So we were super lucky. And yeah, I mean, it goes without saying that we should be doing better against Monza, but I would be saying something super obvious. You know, we all know that this Monza side we should be beating 3-0. It's super obvious. But yeah, we're just not able to do that, especially away from home. We're struggling a lot this year. You know, in 2025, we hadn't won in 3 months away from home, guys. 3 months, not since the Atalanta game. We hadn't won away from home. And so it was just so important to get the 3 points and to put that pressure on Inter. Now we're tied on points. Let's see what Inter does against Bologna. Guys, maybe they go out and win, no? But you at least give them one night to be worried and for them to think like, oh man, I really have to win this game against Bologna, you know, and you start chipping away a little bit at their mental energies, right? And it's just about that. It's just about, you know, who can resist more mentally, because look, the difference between Napoli and Monza is enormous from a technical point of view. I mean, these guys suck. These guys are so bad. You saw it today. You know, they couldn't put three passes together. But mentally, Napoli was quite blocked. And it needed some individual brilliance from some players like Spinazzola, like Raspadori, like McTominay, like players that I think are big game players. Because look, Raspadori is a big game player. Huh? He scores in big moments. There's a reason why Spalletti takes him to the national team, and more often than not, he plays. It's because he's actually someone that, at an international level, he when games are important, he delivers. In the Champions League, Raspadori did well. You know, he scored a few goals last 2 years ago in the Champions League. So in the Scudetto winning season, he had big moments. You know, that goal against Spezia, against Juve, like He's really someone that turns up when it matters. This season he turned up in many games, Venezia, uh, many times, and today he did well. He came off the bench, great impact. Spinazzola is another one of those players that I think, look, he's way past his prime. He's not the Euro 2021 Spinazzola, but he doesn't feel pressure. He was one of the few people that today tried to dribble past his man, tried to create things. Maybe he screwed up some touches, he screwed up some passes, but that did not block him. He didn't stop trying to be a danger, to be a threat. And then you have McTominay and Lukaku, who are obviously, I think, mentally super strong players at a very high level. They don't feel the pressure, they rise up to the pressure. Everyone else in the team, I'm not saying they crumble, because I mean we're first this season. Um, they don't crumble, but they definitely find it hard to fully express themselves. So yeah, we just have to we have to try to not let that limit us as much as possible, and maybe we start relying on some of these players that are big game players. Look, Spinazzola, if he's someone that doesn't feel pressure, you play him. Even if Neres comes back, you play him. Because look, Neres, he hasn't been doing too well recently. So, you know, so yeah, you gotta play players that are able to withstand this. Raspadori, he showed that he can. So I would think about giving Raspadori enough minutes in the next 5 games. I think he's going to be a super important player in the next 5 games. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 he comes up with another 1 or 2 good moments for us. I wouldn't be surprised. Um, but yeah, so guys, that's a little bit my opinion. The good thing is that we got the 3 points. Easter saved, and yeah, tomorrow, guys, we see what happens with Inter. And even if they win, it's okay. There's still 5 more games. We can still do this. So yeah, but obviously, guys, the question today, or a lot of the talking point today, is going to be on Conte. I don't know, guys. Put it down in the comments below what you guys think. Put it down below, and yeah, I guess let me know if you think he's staying, or let me know what he wants, who he wants, what this is all about. Like I want to read some of your opinions, but I want to get to some last comments first. Lawrence Morris says, I think is it just me who doesn't see the light in Oliveira? Oliveira's a strange one, right? I feel like tactically he's quite good. I like the positions that he gets himself in and all that, but he doesn't have enough quality, in my opinion. He doesn't have the personality to take some matters into his own hands at times. Like he passes the ball backwards a bit too much. He doesn't cross enough. I think, for example, Mario Rui is a better player. Over the course of a season, Mario Rui gives you more points than Oliveira, I think. Then it's clear that Oliveira is many years younger, and he has other qualities. He's very good at getting into more central positions, a bit more like Di Lorenzo sometimes does, where he goes inside the field. But as a left back, I don't think I've seen enough from Oliveira as a pure left back. Like, he should be having by now 5 or 6 assists, but he doesn't even have maybe 5 or 6 crosses this year. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying it's our biggest problem, but it's something I will look into this summer. So I agree with Lawrence more. What do you think of Ngonja's yellows? Asks Napoli. I wouldn't be surprised if Ngonja's betting on himself to get yellow cards. Because is it just me? Or does this guy have a lot of yellow cards for the amount of minutes that he plays? Let me just go on transfer market and see. Okay, he has 2 yellow cards. Okay, so maybe not a huge amount. But why do I feel like he has more? Like I feel like maybe he got lucky a few times. I feel like maybe sometimes he wanted a yellow card and he didn't get it, because I feel like the amount of tackles that he's done, maybe he should have had a few more. But yeah, no, I'm kidding. Obviously, I don't think the guy's actually betting on himself to get yellow cards. But I mean, that tackle of today was crazy. Very poor tackle. Very, very poor tackle. Right, guys. I will end it there. I will go rest, and yeah, I hope that in the next few days, the media don't swing Conte's decision one way or another, because right now I feel like Conte is a bit at a 50-50 in his mind, but the reaction of people and the media and all this in the next few weeks might swing him in one direction or the other. You know, if people start criticizing him too much and all that, then you could say to some extent I did that today, but he's not listening to me, so it's fine. But I'm talking about like the real media, you know, like the newspapers, the radios. If they start going against him, then he might just say, you know what, I'm out, regardless of the transfer budget. But yeah, guys, buona Pasqua. Tomorrow I'm gonna be eating a lot. I'm gonna be eating Kinder eggs, pastiera, casatiello. Like, I'm gonna be eating so many nice Easter foods here in Naples. So lots to look forward to. I gotta rest, so I gotta make sure I'm fully fit for that one. So guys, as always, pleasure to do this with you, and see you guys on the next one. Ciao. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre.